Today is August 3rd, 2018. Um, I had to take a break. I was trying to record at first, and then it didn't come out right, and just craziness, and then, I just had a lot of crazy attacks. But anyhow, um, this video is talking about not really spiritual things, just talking about the everyday, well, the things that manifest, because everything starts in the spirit. But it's talking about when you go through these obstacles. What I learned when I went through these obstacles for myself, everything that I try to talk on my channel is stuff that I've been through and stuff that I had to understand, you know. And it's tough to talk about it because you feel the rejection, you feel the shame, you feel the guilt. But I know in the long run it's going to help someone, because someone has to be going through it for me to go through it, because there's nothing new under the sun. And because of that, and his word is true, this has to be, when I was up and I was financially stable, there were so many people around me. It was crazy, I thought everybody loved me, everybody was happy for me. But after a while, I started seeing, the higher I got, I just started seeing people that didn't like me. But for the most part, I thought that most people really liked me, It wasn't until when I started having my difficulties and like my turbulence in my life, is that when people started shifting away from me, I started seeing people, like, how they really felt about me, how they really felt about the situations, about me, what they really, just what they really, some people, their whole main goal was to get something out of me, and it hurt so bad. I was just really stagnant. I was stagnant at first. I was shook up. I was shocked. I was stagnant at first, and it left me in a state of, like, stuck, and I was sad and I was hurt. But anyhow, after that, and when I started coming out, I started noticing that people were trying to leech back on and come back to me. But the lessons that I want to tell you is that you need to observe what is around you. God gives us these crazy trials for a reason. We have these crazy trials for a reason. You just don't come and have these, financial issues for no reason. It just didn't come out of the blue. Sometimes it does, but it's there. It's there to teach you a lesson. It's there to teach you some kind of lesson. People will take advantage. We want to think that the world is very good, especially the United States and Canada and all those other places. We want to think that the human nature and the human psyche of people is for the greater good, when in reality it is really not. We live in a fallen state, okay? And a lot of people have not taken the time to work on themselves. They have not taken the time to fight the devils that they're battling. So therefore, when they see you and you're conquering yours, they have to make a judgment on themselves, and they have to find out. Either they reject it and counsel you as the bad person, or they work on it. And most people don't take the time to work on it, so they stay in this fallen state. So the only thing that they are going to do, they're not trying to work on themselves to make situations better. They're going to make things worse for you, because they see that you're progressing. And if you're progressing, then the equation that they put in their head, that everyone is the same and everyone does the same and everyone has the same outcome no matter what, is fallen. It's a fallen state, and they don't want to accept that. They want to stay in the fallen state by believing that there is no fallen state, So just observe that. And when you see people like that, that's how you see people who are narcissistic. You'll see people who are, and some people, everybody who doesn't agree to your will, or who is bad, what you consider as bad, is not a narcissist. Some people are just focused in what they believe in. We're getting into a state when people don't. You can't voice your opinion without being, evil or terrorist or racist. It's crazy. It's really crazy. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you've done the best that you could. You did the best that you could to these people. You went out of your way, and you've been nice. You followed all the principles of God, or what people call the universal laws, and people are still evil to you. They treat you as if you have done something evil. It is your time to observe that situation and make a decision whether you're going to leave or not. And chances are, if you don't leave, you will be dragged into the mud and just worse. You have to get away from the situation. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to always get away. And because that was my issue too. I hate conflict. I don't like conflict because I believe that not conflict, I just don't like arguing when things get explosive, because it makes no sense to me. It just feels like you need to say what you need to say, and I'm free to say what I need to say, and we can come to a resolution. That's not always the case, because some people don't believe in that. Some people believe that they have to have this kind of chaos in order to solve things, They have to have wars. They have to have all this to solve things, So, and that's the fallen state, Our world is in a fallen state. We all have, in order to make stuff better, we got to have wars and crazy stuff. But just observe that. Sometimes you might have to just slightly move away. It might be a job. It might be a person. It might be family members. Just observe it, and yeah, it's wrong that these people do it. It's wrong. It's so wrong. You shouldn't have to go through it. But since we live in a fallen state, that means anything is possible in this realm, whether good or bad. Anything is possible, and because we live in the world of possibilities, and we live in a fallen state, anything can happen. You have to guard yourself, and guard yourself wisely. Otherwise you will be torn up. So that's why you have to just observe your situations and get up out of it. If it's toxic, no one needs to come with extra, and not to say you should run from every toxic situation. Sometimes you can resolve things, but a lot of times you can't. So understand that, and understand when it's time to get up and go. But most of all, in order to recover, and I've learned this from myself, in order to recover, you need to forgive. You need to forgive. Forgive them for what they've done. And I'm not saying forgiving is going back into the situation. That's never the case for me. Like, sometimes it's the case, for others. But for me, as far as my situation, has never been the case, But you forgive them in order to give yourself room to grow. You understand that this is your room to grow and to become bigger and better. Some people want you to believe in their fallen state, in their point of view, and then they'll go and try to bring you into their fallen state. Say, for instance, you're going to work, and it's you, Kathy, and Becky. Kathy is the manager. Becky is the employee. Now, Kathy and Becky don't like each other, but Becky does her job. She's respectful to everyone. She does her job, but Kathy and Becky don't like each other. Okay, and it probably, let's say for instance, it's probably because they dated the same guy. So Kathy comes up to you, and you're starting on your first day, and she's like, "Hey, B, blah blah this, and this is how the routine is going. Blah blah this. I'm gonna show you this." Now, as she's showing you all what's going on, she's gonna start. You ask her, "Well, how do you like your coworkers? How's everything? How's the jail? How do you guys, communicate with each other? Because that's very important on any job. How do you guys communicate, especially if it's something with like social services or something that's not like factory job. Even a factory job, you have to communicate. So it's very essential." She'll be like, "Oh, well, I don't like, I don't like Becky. She's this. She's just so nosy. She's, this and that, and you're thinking that maybe she's just venting, or she's trying to give you the heads up. She'll say, "I'm just warning you that Becky does this, so you have to be careful of her." Well, in reality, it might be something different. It might be she's just, most of all, this is one thing that is certain, okay? Whether you want to believe it or not, she's trying to deter and change your attitude, make your attitude be her attitude by what she's saying about someone else. You see what I'm saying? Because if you get up and say, well, I don't think that, she's going to say, well, you need to see, or she's like, well, you don't know her, which is true. And later on, if you keep, you're talking to Becky and Kathy and you're getting along with both of them, then Kathy all of a sudden turns on you because you're being equal. You're being balanced, So there's a scenario right there, but be careful of that. Some people just want, if it's not their viewpoint, then everything is just wrong, And I've even had that for myself, because sometimes, being around people or being young and naive, you want to listen to the people who you regard as trustworthy and honorable. But you have to understand that everyone is human and they have their own perspectives. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be yours. It doesn't have to be yours. And later on, if someone's doing that to someone, especially in a workplace, chances are they're going to try to get rid of each other. Whoever gets rid of the other person is going to do the same state, because they're trained in their mind. And they tell you that in psychology, in the ecosystem of the group unit. People say the family unit, but it's the group unit. It's always a scapegoat. It's always a scapegoat. If you find yourself being that, watch out. If you find yourself that you're with someone who only wants to be around you when you're good, and then when things go bad, they're nowhere to be found, or they blame you for having hard times. Like, hard times don't come on everyone. That's crazy. Remember that. God is showing you that. Someone who is, now they might not be with you all the time, but someone who you want to be around is someone who has integrity and humility, and they're going to treat you the same, with the same respect. They might have a little bit of difference in between you, put a little bit of space in between you, but they're going to show you respect, and they're going to show you dignity, and they're not going to make you seem or feel like you are less than, or isolate you from the normal things that you guys normally do, just because you can't help them, or another thing is, you'll start seeing, this is for my personal experience. I have people who I thought, and God showed me this in a dream, people who I thought was going to help me, and they seemed like they was just talking about God so much, and I was like, okay, well, maybe that's it. These people, they really didn't have my best interest. They just wanted to be around me because it made themselves feel better. And instead of trying to help me find a job or anything like that, or improve myself, they were really trying to exploit me and say, hey, I helped this person, I helped this. And if you're that person, I promise you, if it's something that I need, it depends on what's going on. Usually I'll be like, okay, whatever, you go right on ahead, because whatever I'm getting is greater anyway. You got your reward. God's going to repay you, but you have to be careful, because some people will try to injure you when you come up and you make it on your own without them. Not on your own, because you do everything by the power of God, but I'm saying without them. They had the opportunity to help you. I had this one lady in particular. She had the resources, she had the connections, she had all of that. And this lady was just doing all this stuff, and then she tried to make it seem as if I was suffering. The reason why I was going through my hardships was because of me not working hard. When I was working 2 jobs, when I was going out of here busting my butt trying to get a job, and people were not giving me the job because of because of their ignorance on black and white people. We still deal with that stuff, especially in Indiana. From people's perspective, I didn't come in there regularly. I didn't come in like this. If you see my other videos, you'll see how I actually came in. I was really polished, and I'll be on, going out doing a lot of street ministry in a minute. So, but anyhow, They saw me. I had the credentials. I even had the backing. I took the time. I took the years. I've taken the years to actually work at a shelter. Hands and feet. This was, man work. And I was getting overlooked and overpassed. But this person, and she knew that. She knew that. She saw it. But since I wasn't moving at her pace and I couldn't, she couldn't use me as a pawn to say that she made me who I am, she didn't want to help me. So observe and look at that. Some people just do that because of their comfort zone. I had people who I thought was my friends, and I look at it now, even when I was in like elementary, even in elementary and high school, I was with like the popular kids, but at the same time, they only put me around there because it made them feel better. It made them feel better. Now that I look at it, I had a person that was supposed to be my best friend at that time, and I remember it was my birthday, and we had this I was having a sleepover, and I invited like 10 people because that's all I could invite over, and that was like the first party that I actually had that wasn't like with another relative to blend in on the birthday. How people, you don't have a lot of money, you blend in the birthdays. And yeah, I didn't want to have, I was like 11 then, and I didn't want to have my birthday with somebody who was freaking 5 years old again, so yeah. But she, instead, it was another girl who was kind of like, I don't know why she just didn't like me, but she did not like, and she had everything. I didn't understand that, like everything. But anyhow, she all of a sudden had a party that same weekend, and everybody went to her party except one, including the person that I consider my best friend. And then afterwards, they all told me about it, and it wasn't because it was her birthday or anything like that. It was just because she knew she could do that, and her parents allowed it. By the way, she, God bless her. That's all I gotta say. But anyhow, yes, they would do that. And then my best friend came the next day and was like, hey, can you come over to my house? And I was like, and I was like, okay. And that's how it has been my entire life. Like, people think that they can just go and straggle me along. You have to observe that, and they'll think that you're nice and all that other stuff. Cut it off. Cut it off. Cut it off. Cut it off. Okay? When you observe that, just have no contact with them. It's no need to have somebody. Yeah, and you do want to have that need because everyone wants to be around people, but you deserve so much more. And once I started finding that out, my life got so much better. I don't owe anyone anything. I had a rough life, yes. I had to have people to help me along the way, yes, but I don't owe anyone anything. Not my mother, not my father, nothing, yeah. I don't owe anybody nothing in this world except the Lord Jesus, who got me out of all of this and gave me the great awakening. But now that I'm getting a little bit better and I'm doing okay for myself, you start seeing those people coming back, and sometimes I just want, in my spirit, I just want to go back and just talk to them and have that, because I want to feel good. I want to think about the old times, but God always gives me this thing like, you forgive, but you don't forget, and people think like you're supposed to forgive and forget. That's not what the Bible says, man. And I'm talking about real, spiritual stuff, like stuff that you use every day. You forgive people for what they do, but you remember how they did you, okay? Because we are people, we are creatures of habit, okay? We are creatures of habit. So if they did it to you before and they got away with it, it's because they thought that they could, and they actually was right, okay? So instead of you going into the same repeated circle, you need to remember. So when the next time they come, you say, okay, hi, good, I forgave you, but you have a good day. Have a good day. Have a good day. Don't dwell on it. Don't hash on it, because you'll start thinking, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And there was nothing wrong with you. It was just God's way of letting you know who to drop and who to let go before your blessing came. Because if they were there, If they would have stayed any longer, it would have been destruction to you. You would not be where you need to be, and you wouldn't know how to handle the things that are coming up in your life. You know, me winning that pageant, I was not ready. I can honestly say I was not ready because of owning a really successful business. I always had a small business here and there, and I would close it and open up like different stuff, candles, yarns. I really am creative, you know. But in order to have something really successful, you got to have people who have your best interests at heart, and that's not always possible to have it all the ways around, but you want to go around those people who are going in your direction. You want to be just ready. You want to be ready for when it comes. And if you have these kind of people, all they do is drag you down because they take too much energy, because they haven't focused on themselves. Anyone who's tearing anyone else down, they have not focused on themselves, okay? They have given up on themselves. They have given up on their dreams, okay? But you haven't, okay? So it's good to observe and see what is going on. God is allowing this situation, those situations of difficulty and hesitantness to happen so you can grow and you can outlive it and you can be able to help others to come through it, okay? Yeah. And like I said, people want to be talking about how I look when they look at these videos. How does she have a makeup business and she's looking the way she looks? That's because I work on other stuff and I really don't have time for all that. And if I go on the street and I start helping people who, you know, need, and they're doing this, it's a whole, but I don't need to explain that. Just know if you're in that mode and you're thinking that, don't worry about it. I got it and you don't. I got it and you don't. And when I do put it on, I'll slay you. So, yeah. Because I know it's going to be somebody. It's going to be somebody in my inbox because I usually block the comments. Because I started, I don't know if I put that on one of my videos, but I almost had a nervous breakdown looking at that stuff during the whole pageantry when I won Miss Indiana. It was so tough for me, so I delete, you know, I try to block the comments because I know I will read it, because I believe that everyone's input is worth something, you know, and I try to read it. And I'm learning that everything can't have all the attention, because some people are out here to destroy you. So literally. So yeah, that's it. Hopefully something I said or done will help you on your journey. And remember, be wise. Observe what is around you. Observe your surroundings. Remember what they said, okay? Remember, forgive them, but remember. Yeah, most of all, forgive. But that does not mean go back all the time. Sometimes you got to have no contact, and that's the best way, or have some kind of barrier. Hopefully something I said or done will help you on your journey. Stay tuned to Journey to Jerusalem, and thank you.